Hey guys, welcome to part two. So I do need to backtrack a little bit before we get into the 7 through 12 signs. I did neglect to mention that for um, some of the signs, the inner organs. I know I was talking more about the what you can see, but the inner organs. Taurus has the throat, so maybe they could be heavy smokers. Like something like with swallowing issues, something like that. That comes up. That plays a part because that's connected to the mouth. So that plays an emphasis for them. Gemini are all about the lungs. So breathing in is really, the first air sign. You have to breathe in to get that air into your body for it to move through you. Um, so, an easy one for Geminis, they could have asthma. I had childhood asthma and I have Gemini in my chart. And it's still hard for me to breathe when I exercise to remember the rhythm. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe they smoke and they have really bad lungs, or maybe they can really breathe in deep and like maybe they can hold their breath underwater for a long time, something like that. Um, Moving fast, I'm going to go through Cancer. I really neglected a really good tie into the motherhood aspect, but Cancer really represents the stomach, more so than Virgo, whereas the digestive system and the abdomen. Cancer represents the actual stomach because, when you're eating, what organ is that affecting the most is your stomach. It's expanding. And then also with Cancer being motherhood, your stomach is what grows when you have fertility or you have a baby in there. So that's really emphasized with them as well as the breasts because that's another motherhood aspect. Those have to be developed to nurture, um, you know, things like that. So we've got that. Leo, we did the heart. They also say that Leo is like the top part of the spine, I believe, which makes a lot of sense because I struggle with posture. My mom always got on to me. She's like, sit up straight, da 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 da, da," and I never hold myself up high, um, which you would think of a Leo to do. Um, and then Virgo, like I said, the abdomen, the digestive system, which we talked about a little bit. Um, and that's going to lead us into the last six signs. So we're going to start with Libra, which is next up after Virgo. So Libra is really love sign, similar to Leo, whereas Leo is a self love, it's a self confidence, it's being able to love others. Libra, we really put that love and channel it into a relationship. So Libras are the ones that you're going to find in relationships all the time, or they've never had one in their whole life. I feel like usually it's more so the former that I find that once they're out of one, the next week, the next month, like they're back in one, and it's not just like like something that's not really serious. It's like the really serious relationships too. Like this person is um, not a commitment phobe at all. Like these relationships are years and years um, of romance and stuff. So there's always that. And now when it's interesting when you look at Libra on the chart, what's directly opposite it is Aries. And so we're looking at Libra rising. Aries is in the seventh house of Libra, and Aries represents struggle. So again, maybe they take the easy route to get the relationship that they want, or maybe that's their own way of being secure, or feeling that they're taken care of. It's just being in a committed relationship with somebody. So it's not necessarily finding that star-crossed lover or anything like that, but it's just being in. They feel a lot more stable when they are a part of a union. So I think that's more so the emphasis there. So when we look at Libra, just because it's a sign of relationship and love, doesn't necessarily mean that every Libra out there that's in a relationship is in some kind of really cinematic, like out of this world romance. So, really just think about that. I mean, I'm sure that exists out there just like each extreme does for all the signs, but yeah, I think Libra is more so that childlike spontaneity that they're attracted to with the Aries. And maybe it's more of a struggle for them because Aries does represent struggle. So, Libras in a relationship, not in a relationship. Libras represent. Um, art. So whether they are in like every school production of the theater, whether they're on Broadway, or maybe they really don't like the arts at all. Maybe they have a very minimalistic approach to culture and arts in general, and they're more like science fact based. Being air signs, they would typically be more intellectual. Um, so maybe it's one of those extremes where they're not really, they don't appreciate art, um, or vice versa, where it's a really heavy emphasis for them. They're always surrounded by it. Maybe they have friends that are in the art industry, or maybe they themselves are. Um, so it's one of those two extremes, and then they are represented by, they say, the lower back. Um, yeah. And if you ever notice with Libras, like I've noticed it because I watch so many movies and things, but a lot of times like their characters will be introduced by their backs. And it'll like they won't be face forward like when the camera pans to them, so that it's almost like that's their personality, or their backside is their best side or whatever. Not to mean that they're ugly, because most of them are gorgeous, with that Venus energy, but maybe the back represents something different. It's opposite Aries, which is all full frontal. It's the face literally. So the back maybe represents something a little more subconscious, a little more. Um, oh, and reflections. So mirrors. Mirrors play a big emphasis. So do we like our reflection is something that I'm sure every Libra has asked themselves in their lifetime. Um, whether it's they can't look themselves in the mirror, or whether they love to have mirrors around their house. And a little vanity isn't a bad thing. Someone's taught me that in my life. But yeah, so you would probably notice if you go into a Libra house that there's either a few more mirrors than usual, or there's none at all, and you're just like, uh, so one of those two emphasis. And then let's see, moving from Libras, we go to Scorpio. So Scorpio, I think everyone knows by now what Scorpio represents physiologically, would be the genitals, so the D. Um, but like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person is blessed down there. It could be the opposite, and that's really an emotional trigger for them if they're not satisfied with what they have or how it functions. But I think more often than not that it means that he's got the D. It's also for females. It's their genitalia too. So the vagina. So that that plays a part. So whether this person, we're looking at all the body parts. It could, you could look at surgery in any of these parts. So whether someone's had like a hysterectomy or something like surgical, where that body part has played an emphasis in their life, whether it had to be taken or repaired, or something like that, or when we're looking at Scorpio, it could easily mean porn, so that other people see it. It's playing some emphasis. So um, and Scorpio, I think too, in like when we're looking at rising, which is more of a social, this person could get like a lot of erections, out and about or doing things, or could have like a lot of public sex, something like that. So I'm not going to go further than that, but that's kind of the Scorpio representation in the body. And it also says blood. So talking about surgery, um, Scorpio is the blood. It's that thickness. Blood is, it moves through you like water. I think it's a product of water. I'm not an expert in this stuff, so I'm just going to tell you. But like blood is probably a trigger. Like for instance, my mother, she has a Scorpio in her chart, and she is so afraid at the sight of blood. Like she literally passed out. One time when someone dropped a vial of blood in front of her, which I mean that could trigger a lot of people for sure. That's understandable, but yeah, she definitely just can't look at it when she has to give blood and stuff. And it does take an emphasis in her life because she does have to get a lot of blood drawn for something that she has. So that's kind of like maybe what a Scorpio could be like for you if you're a Scorpio, so you have to deal with that, or maybe you're kind of obsessed with blood and death. So you love like horror films, you love like that, like overt, like like God, what's the word? Gore, something like that. So hopefully you don't like other people literally getting hurt and hurting themselves when it's more fictionalized on television or whatever. So yeah, but that's the emphasis there with Scorpio, death. So unfortunately, this is probably the sign more so than others that has had significant death around them, whether it's one of their parents, their lover, maybe they work at a funeral home, um, but it's death has played an impact in their life, and yeah, yeah. So, or maybe they've never seen death before, and they're just something that they're very um, not naive, but they've never been exposed to. So, anyways, so moving from Scorpio, and it's about that transformational energy. So we're going to Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is the last fire sign. Um, in here, excuse me, we're talking about change. So Sagittarius is all about change because we killed ourselves in Scorpio and we've been born again. So we can aim higher this time and really shoot for the stars. Um, and so when we look at change with Sagittarius, the funniest thing is that the stereotype is that they love, love, love change. And I found I have a lot of Sagittarius in my life, and they're often the people that I feel like change the least. And so it's this really weird dynamic in that they really, really hold on to things a lot more than what they're probably known for. So again, that's the emphasis there. So change as an emphasis is not necessarily something that is second nature to them. It could be that there are definitely Sagittariuses out there that love that change, that are always moving, are always go 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 energy, that love variety, that can't do the same thing more than once. But then there's the other extreme of that, which is like rituals and habits and staying in the same place for a long time, really, really slow moving in a bigger sense, because now we're talking a little bigger, more spiritual in the later signs. So, um, but yeah, yeah. So that's going to take a big effect for them. Comedy. I often find that Sagittarius are the comedians of the zodiac. It's really natural for them to make jokes and to make laughs, and especially coming from Scorpio, which is all about like that deadpan, like really like kind of jarring humor. That's like were they joking? They said they were, but it's like really, really, really sarcastic. So you have to like do a double take. So we're going from that to more of a pleasure seeking in the spotlight fire sign that's kind of more entertaining in a sense. And so comedy is really a big emphasis for them. Whether they are striving to be a comedian in a way, or maybe they were the class clown in school. Or they're just not funny at all and they don't appreciate humor. They're just very, very dry. They would rather pursue like logic and scientific means as opposed to indulging in something a little more um, um, pleasurable, and not so um, it doesn't really have so much of a purpose as opposed to entertaining and lightening things. So we've got that. When we think of Sagittarius, the body, we've got the hips, the tush or the butt, and the thighs. So that's like that section, which is really close to Scorpio. So when you notice when you go down the signs, it goes further and further to eventually we get to Pisces, which is the feet, which is as far down as we can go. So it's really cool to look at that in a body because it helped me understand a lot of things when I was first learning the signs. Um, but yeah, so Sagittarius, they're are known for their booty, are taking those those kind of selfies are on their Instagram, or that they've kind of got a flat cardboard that it really doesn't show in their pants. It's like, do they have one kind of a thing? So that takes an emphasis there. Thighs, maybe they're thunder thighs. Maybe they have thighs that they're really self-conscious about, um, or they're just like non-existent, and they just can get into any skinny jean that they try on or whatever, which I'm very envious of. Um, so yeah, it's one of those things. Their hips, so they're dancing, dancing sign, just like Aquarius, which is more so the legs. But hips come into, you can't go places without your hips. They connect your body, and they kind of facilitate that movement. Um, so that again ties back into the Sagittarius movement, change, travel. So all those things are going to take an emphasis in a Sagittarius life. Um, and then, so let's keep going. So we've got, from Sagittarius we go into Capricorn. So Capricorn is the third Earth sign. Capricorn is at the very top. We just like I was talking about that ladder. They want to climb that ladder. They want to be the top. Um, so it's really about achievements. What do you think about when you think of an achievement as something that you win or like you're awarded? So awards are really big for a Capricorn. It's kind of being known for their success, or achieving something um, sustainable, or something that can literally be um, coined or phrased, or like that plaque on the wall, or that trophy. So when you look at Capricorn, look and see if they've won a lot of trophies, if they won a lot of awards, things like that. If they've always been the leader, if they've always been, the top, the captain, the boss, whatever. So it's either that or the other way around. They've never won an award in their life. They're not competitive. They are, just really not ambitious or discerning. So it's like one of those two. So um, whether they really, really lead their lives and they have a lot of ambitions, or they have none at all, um, and are rather easygoing. So one of the two for that. Capricorn represents. Um, I will say that Capricorn really, really represents knowledge. So a lot of times when I know Capricorns, or people that have that in their chart, they know a whole lot about like a particular subject or something. So they want to know every fact and detail about a particular thing, because I think that gives them confidence, and that gives them kind of that power that they need to sit at the top of knowing everything. So they need that kind of position to be stable in a sense, or to have some kind of groundedness. So when you open Capricorn's brain about a field that they're interested in, or maybe their work, like they know everything that's going on, and you're always surprised because you're like, how the hell do you even know this? But they find out. They know how everything works and how to do things exactly. Like they're very, very detail oriented, with that earth energy. Um, and yeah, so that plays a factor. So they're going to know not necessarily about everything, but about like a particular subject or something like that. So definitely play with that, and see if that rings true for the Capricorns that you know. Now they Capricorns also represent the past. So Capricorn represents a lot of things. So I guess I'll spend a little more talking about that. But the past is really big. So we look to the past before we go to our future, which is Aquarius. So that's the next sign. But so Capricorn. Um, think about the past. So the past really is significant for these people, whether it's childhood, um, whether it's their youth, their upbringing. A lot of Capricorns have gone through like adoption and everything with the Aries in the fourth house of family. They really don't maybe not even know their family, or they really struggle with their family, and family time is really hard for them in whatever way. Or they can feel like they can really be a kid around their family, very playful, and get taken care of and stuff like that. So that plays an emphasis in their life. But the past really, they're the ones that love history, that love old things, antiques. They love to go vintage shopping, things like that. Um, Clocks, look at clocks because it's time. It's all those things. So, so this person really likes the past, or the reverse side of that, they're very future oriented, is like the split infinitive that you get with these. Um, so, yeah, look to those things. And then the teeth and the bones and the eyes are all things that represent, and the knees, that represent Capricorn. So these are things that older people are really associated with: their teeth, their dentures. Are they missing teeth? Do they have bad um, dental hygiene? Um, you can find a lot of Capricorns work in the dental industry for that reason. Or they can have like the nicest teeth out there, like the best winning smile that you've ever seen. Eyes, they can have very, very alluring eyes, like ones you want to like see all kinds of different colors. Or like, say for instance, David Bowie, who had, I don't remember what the exact term for it is, but like where one of his eyes was a different color than the other. So the eyes play a significance. A lot of Capricorns end up wearing glasses or contacts because vision takes an emphasis in their life. Um, and then their bones, like when we think of people in old age, they get a little more brittle. They have to take things a little easier. So that's the kind of Capricorn, like, holding on to the past because they're not really looking to go places anymore because they've achieved that old age. So even a young Capricorn can maybe identify with being an old soul in a way. Um, so yeah, so all that. And then going into Aquarius, we're at the second to last sign. So bear with me, I'm talking a lot, but Aquarius, we move from Capricorn, which is looking to the past, and now we can take those insights and put them towards future goals and future use. So Aquarius really ties into the planning of Virgo, but it's more of a long-term, like big picture stuff. So when we look at the air signs, it's not really the details. It's not really the day-to-day life. It's more so big thinking. They're the ones that have the very broad ideas about big change and all that kind of stuff. It's more intellectual based, as opposed to practical. And yeah, so Aquarius is all about the future. So whether this person is like me and they really like tarot or astrology, or finding a means to kind of get future perspectives, that really plays an emphasis for them. Um, or the reverse, this person isn't future oriented and they're more so past oriented, like a Capricorn. So it plays an emphasis. Maybe this person doesn't really have plans for further down the line, but most of the time Aquarius would be future seeking. But I'm just trying to relate everything that has an emphasis, whether good or bad, or relevant or irrelevant, to each sign. So Aquarius think about astrology, astronomy, so they like sci-fi, or they hate sci-fi. So it's that. Let's see, Aquarius dancing. So either they're extremely shy, you cannot get them on the dance floor, they have no rhythm, or they love to be on the dance floor, they love that attention, they are in a ballet school or some kind of dance group. Um, that's a big thing. And then um, their body parts would be the legs and I think the ankles. So they could have cankles, but more so their legs are kind of what facilitate that movement, coming from Sagittarius. And yeah, and right before we get to the feet, which is Pisces. So with Pisces, we're moving towards future, towards past the future, into death, or into the beyond, really. The subconscious. And so with Pisces here, we really are looking at what's hidden, or what's the deeper meaning in things. Think of that Page of Cups card I was talking about in one of the videos. That's really Piscean energy, and it's illusion. So what's um, let's see how to best say that. So like spirituality and religion play a big emphasis for them, because it's like what you can't see but you believe in, those kinds of things. Or maybe this person has very strict ideas the opposite way. They're more so atheist leaning, more occult. Maybe they're into like Wicca and stuff like that, as opposed to standardized religion and like Catholicism and Christianity and all those things. But religion plays an emphasis there, whether they are really involved with the church or the community, or they're on the other extreme. They're the picketers when those people come out and you know, or they have a lot to say about it. So there's that. Pisces represents dreams. So this could be somebody that, sleeping. This could be people that are maybe narcoleptic, or that can fall asleep really easily. I know a Pisces that can just literally fall asleep anywhere that they choose, which I find really interesting because I could never do that. But or maybe they can't get enough sleep. Maybe they only sleep for a few hours a night, and it's a real struggle for them. So sleep is a big issue. Drugs, that's another way to access the subconscious, just like with spirituality in a sense. But um, so drugs can play an emphasis, whether it's more pharmaceuticals and it's leaning onto that kind of medication that they need, um, or it's like recreational drugs playing an emphasis in their life. So it's one of that, or maybe they've never had any of that in their life, or they're really against it. Especially we can obviously see a lot of people in religious aspects that have notions as to drug tolerance, so those tie in pretty well. And then I guess when we're talking about the feet, it's the last thing that connects us to the earth, and the physical world. So it's that last grounding aspect, I guess, before we move on. So we start with Aries all the way up here, and then we move all the way down to our feet. So the feet take an emphasis, whether they have like really cool shoes or their shoes are like terrible, and you've told them to get rid of them because they're gross and they've been wearing them for too long. Maybe this person loves to be barefoot all the time. And you're just like, oh my God, do you ever wear shoes? Something like that. Um, yeah, it would be an emphasis for them. So I didn't really have like a direction for this video, but I think I accomplished something hopefully by kind of putting the signs, aspects, and their body parts kind of like into perspective for you guys. So maybe it can kind of resonate with you, with your own sun sign, or the peoples around you that you identify with. Um, yeah, so you can kind of look at a Libra and see if you notice their back, like, or having really good posture or something like that. Or you can look at a Pisces and see if they have those really cool shoes, or that they're barefoot all the time. Or yeah, so just see if you can notice these things take an emphasis, whether it's in film or in everyday life. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really like making these videos because I have all these ideas and these things I've been telling myself for years, but it's nice to just get it out, so I can kind of move through it a little easier. So let me know what you think, and hopefully I haven't offended any of the signs, because there's pros and cons to each sign. I try not to be favorable to any one. Obviously I have some Leo pride because that's my sign, but Leos have their issues just like all the other ones. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. See ya. Oh.